Welcome back. You're watching Morning Live. Thank you for choosing to stay with us. Author Adele Green has created a thought-provoking read for men called Can You See Me Naked? An opportunity to see your partner for who she is and create a conscious relationship that takes work but has greater rewards. She joins me now in studio. Adele, thank you very much for joining us.
Thanks, Sam.
I think a lot of men are going to say, wow, this is something that we've always had the insight from a man's perspective, but finally some of the questions are being answered.
Well, I'm glad that you think some of the questions are being answered.
Some of them.
Let's hope we can make it a little bit easier, because relationships are complex.
Why are you on this mission to create this insight for men so that they can understand the deeper issues?
You know what happens to a lot of women, especially when we've had babies and life happens for us, is we start asking deeper questions. And the more fulfilled your life is, the more you need real, deeper insight. And what happened for me was I needed answers. And I love reading. So I read whatever I could get my hands on, but it was all written by men.
That's weird.
And for me, as a woman, I felt
So you were reading about yourself, but from a man's perspective?
Well,
or they were trying to delve into this?
Correct. The information that was available are all written by men. And there isn't really something written with a female perspective. So it wasn't like I sat and I decided I wanted to write a book for men. It was more like I was writing for my ex, and I said to him, you know, this is how I wanted to be treated. This is what I wanted you to do. But I went on a whole journey before that happened, because I've traveled from South Africa to Peru and Hawaii.
Did you and your ex get back together after you read it?
No, we didn't. There's a period when a person grows where, you know, the gap is too big.
For sure.
For me, the gap was too big.
You talk about the conscious relationship and being in the moment and trying to get men to understand that that is kind of where the relationship should be. Define the conscious relationship for me.
At the beginning, we fall in love and it's wonderful. And it's all chemistry and nature helps and you make babies and then life happens. And you know, then you get to a stage in your relationship and you have to actually choose to be in that relationship. It's not about making it work or playing roles or doing what's defined for you to do or what your mother tells you to do in the background. You really must be there because you want to be there. And what happens there is that one needs to reach another level of commitment in your relationship. So it's about not keeping the peace, it's about wanting to do things together. It's about being on an adventure together and being aware when you make decisions what the consequences are.
You structured the chapters as questions. Why?
Because I needed to give people an opportunity to really relate to the information. You can't just go and just drop in a whole lot of deep stuff and spiritual stuff. You have to tell them why it's useful to understand it. So when I asked a question like, you know, why do women whine? The chapter in the book
and they do it very well.
Yeah, the chapter in the book is helping, you know, why does she need that constant appreciation? You know, you can't just, if she goes, why is my bottom so big, or is my bottom so big? You know, if he says yes, he's in big trouble. So understanding why women need that affirmation from a much deeper space.
Let's talk about the modern man here, because you do touch on the modern man, and I want you to reflect on this. And there are two different quarters in society. One will that argue that more and more men are being raised by single moms, so they understand the hardships that a woman are going through. But then there's another quarter that says more and more fathers are present, so young boys are seeing what a good dad, what a good man looks like. What is reflect for me on the modern man and why this book fits in perfectly for the new guy out there who wants to understand better, wants to be more in the relationship, wants to be there all the time?
I think a lot of modern men are much more in touch with their feminine. But there's still a stereotypical gender role, yes, that men must be strong and men are fixers. So in terms of the strength, men are being taught that they need to manipulate the environment from as young as 3 years old.
Okay.
So what happens when you're in a relationship and it's tough and you need to find a way to relate to your partner, not in a way that blames her for what goes wrong, but in a way that supports her to grow, what they need to develop is inner strength.
There's the other thing that you touch on as well, and I thought it was incredibly fascinating. You talk about something called the transformational shift in the female partner, and you experienced it. And I'm going to argue that a lot of us, or a lot of men, are good guys. They come home, they cook, they clean. But I almost get a sense in your book that more can be done. It's not only it's a fixer thing you were talking about.
Yes, yes. Definitely a lot more can be done. And a lot of people think relationships are heavy and hard work. But more can be done from a sense of partnership and sharing and fun and experiencing joy. And what happens is when people grow, they can often grow into two separate directions, or they want to avoid conflict. And because women are I think we're breeding a society where women are thinking they're more empowered, and they can make more decisions, but they're starting to do them without the men. So for me, the way that you're saying it, it sounds like I'm doing a blaming and a shaming for men, but it's not about that at all.
Sure.
It's more for insight for women so that they can understand what they need to express. If they know what and they know how to express, then your battle is half won.
And I think the other thing is also, and the reason why I'm asking this question is because we are in this space that, and I don't know, you're the expert here, but we've got young girls being raised that you can be strong and independent and all of those things, and you've got young boys being raised that you've got to be more sensitive and all of this. And when the two meet, there's a complete mismatch of ideology because the one is coming from a completely different perspective. Women are now being empowered to be strong and independent. Men are being empowered to be more connected, and somehow we're not connecting.
100%. In South Africa, more than 60% of divorces, and we know how many divorces there are actually initiated by women. And I believe they are initiated by women because there's this illusion that women are more empowered. But I really think that it's actually happening because women do not have the skill to express what they feel. They don't know how to give words to feelings when they start asking, what's my purpose? What's the meaning in my life? Why am I doing these things? And the more women, we're creating a society where women can develop and grow and take more senior roles, the less they're actually emotionally skilled to say what they feel.
Why can you see me naked?
Because it's beyond roles. It's beyond the personality. It's to drop all the facade. To drop the fake it like you make it and be real. Because the quicker and the sooner we can be real about who we are, the more men will embrace women. And it's like, when a guy watches sport, there's nothing is going to take his eyes off the screen.
Sure.
And technically you can go stand naked next to the TV. He's not even going to notice until that game is finished.
Wow.
But there's a window of opportunity that women are willing and courageous to say, can you see me naked? That's what the book was for me. It was very explicit about my life. It was very revealing. And it was my moment of saying, can you see me without the roles? Without the stereotypes, just me. Because when we can see each other, we're pulling our projections back. And when we pull our projections back, then we can really and truly allow ourselves to love ourselves and, of course, our partners, because you can't do the one without the other.
You also talk about something called reflecting, and the person we're with reflects our values and our ideologies and all of those kind of things. How do we make sure that we get to that point where we're having truthful, honest conversations, where I'm looking in your eyes and I understand what you want and you understand what I want? Or is that an ongoing journey as we progress through this thing called life?
I think I'm very fortunate that I have got a skill to reflect. It's always been natural for me and easy for me to see the meanings behind the surface. And what I said just now in terms of projection, that's what we need to do in order to do what you asked. But to know how to use reflection and projection in that way, to really see the other person and not see in them who we are, that's what we need to cultivate and develop. And for as long as I've been doing this, my partner can tell you it's hard. I still make mistakes all the time because it's natural for us to project. We can only see what we are. We can only love other people as much as we can love ourselves. So to do it is
if you have no love, you can't love anybody.
Absolutely not. If somebody said to me the other day, I absolutely loved reading your book, and this is a highly literate person, and I said to her, what did you love most about the book? She said, for years, my husband has loved me, but I could never see it until I read your book.
Wow. Adele, we're going to leave it on that note, and I'm sure a lot of couples... I didn't get to the one question, but I'll ask you off air. Should I read this book with my partner, or should I read it first and then go give it to my partner? We're going to leave it there. I don't want to get into anything. Adele Green, Can You See Me Naked? It's a book. It's available in all good bookstores. It's one of those must-reads. I guarantee it's going to spark a debate around the table. Go and get it. We take a night break. Don't go anywhere.